I'll go to case, then I'll have 4 off case positions. Yeah, and it's a way to make it big. Yeah.
I'm not going to fly. I'm just want to show my fly on camera.
Yeah.
Joe Potty.
Assumes that evades stance. Leighton fearfully grabs his pen and flows. It's been a long time. It's been a long time, Kathy.
Yeah. Straight case. Straight case. Procedure substance. Off case. Everybody ready? We have been waiting for this debate round to take place at this time, in this place, at this level of the tournament for a very long time, and we're all really happy. Good case. Off the B sub-pointed criteria, he says objective perceptions are important. My first response to you is possible to evaluate, especially when I give you the chief Cali violation off case. The next point would be that there is no indication that what is happening on case is a response to political oppression. Just that it's going to happen and it is inevitable. Next point is that will feed our position off case. Next point is the only response to political oppression is the last contention, which is subnationals or terrorists, and we will beat that independently. Next on case. Off the A sub-point on accidents. Indicate specifically that is not a conscious response to political oppression. It doesn't mean top Cali violation. I'll read below. Next, off B sub-point, which is fire breaks. It's not a conscious response to political oppression. I want to grant the last card, which says it's going to escalate. That's the last card after B sub-point, because Pat asked me to. Off C sub-point on PGRBs. First response, this is not a conscious response to political oppression. At this level, it is inevitability. Will feed off case positions. Off the conscious shift cards, the done, and the fault cards. My first response to these are conclusionary cards. There's no analysis of why this will be true. The cards don't tell you why you're going to get conscious, how it's going to happen, or anything like that. He just says it's his evaluation and it's true. Next point was that all the card says is going to be a different place, right? That is certainly not synonymous with some sort of universal consciousness shift. Next point is at that level, I think they're overreading cards. Next point, third would be that out and cross X indicates that they're only talking about elites. At that level, that indicates that it's not universal. Next point would be that at Dan's prompting, he tells you it is somehow universal, but there is no analysis in cross-examination as to how it would be universal. And at that level, I would certainly indicate there are some places in the world where it's not going to be true, like South Africa, like South America, like Australia, other places. Next point is what? Right, and empirically Japan denies. That's a good response. I hadn't thought of that. Next point is all the card says is could, right? It doesn't indicate any, it is a purely predictive statement, and it is not indicating what. There's no rationale contained within the card. Next point is he does not outline what the change will be. He does not define the consciousness. He does not tell you exactly what the consciousness will be or what parameters it will take. And at that level, I think if this is going to be the solvency argument he is going to apply to the off-case positions, that will be horrible if he cannot define this clearly. Off-case. First off-case is top Cali. A sub-point standards. Little one is you must limit the resolution. You have to limit debate down to a place where it's reasonable. Next point is accuracy is key. You don't want to go out of here and embarrass yourself and say that the resolution was proven true when it wasn't. Off third, which is grammatical context, which will be what you can't just say things about words in the resolution to be topical. You have to analyze the resolution within a context. The B sub-point will be a contextual violation of response to political oppression. Little one is that nuclear weapons do not represent a conscious response to political oppression because you can't solve the conflict. Right? They're not going to use a single card in contention 1 or on contention 3 on terrorists. That's not a solution to the problem. At that level, it is not an answer. Next point is their definition assumes 3 different things. It says a reply, an answer, or a reaction. And at that level, that is abusive. Next point is the affirmative. Cool. The affirmative advantage at this level is extra topical, right? Maybe because they're not getting a topical advantage off of political oppression, they're saying that, well, when you react violently to political oppression, you get this extra topical advantage. And I think that's horrendous for debate. Next point would be that the definitional distinctions. Little a would be that their definition is vague, right? They say reply, answer, or reaction. B sub-point would be that you would prefer reply because reply indicates a level of conscious intent. Next sub-point would be that they are not indicating that anywhere on case, right? They're not even indicating that the terrorists are indicating any kind of change, right? They're just getting ticked off, right? There's just a reaction. Next level would be the reaction is very, very broad, right? You can get any kind of tenuous reaction with this topical on the affirmative interpretation. And while it may be true that the affirmative case is very limited, their interpretation certainly is not. And at that level, their interpretation will legitimize very bad cases, and you don't want to do that. Next sub-point will be that this is certainly a delimitation, right? Which is the initial standard. And second point, this is decreases accuracy, right? Because you cannot be absolutely certain about things that are predictive of the future, whereas you could be if they were choosing to analyze something that were extant now, right? Next point is that would be an independent is violation. Off the C sub-point, which would be violation, would be voting issue. Little one is jurisdiction, you can't vote outside your jurisdiction. Next point would be embarrassment, and I'm very serious about this. I don't think you want to go outside and say the resolution is true when it's not. Next sub-point is tradition. Fourth would be social contract. Next off-case position. Survivability. Entitle it survivability. Our position is that you can survive a nuclear war. First will be that it won't end the world. Cornerstone. I believe I'm being realistic and not a doomsayer. I think hundreds of millions are going to die in World War III, but not billions. It's not going to mean the end of human race. Civilization will rebuild. Next point, scientific evidence includes survival. From 1985. The argument that nuclear war can eliminate human species and bring an end to civilization do not stand up to the light of objective scientific examination. Next point, worst case scenario is survival. This is from Lehner 1982. The NES support concluded that human life will survive the largest nuclear war. Fifth point is that 370 studies support survivability. From Ed Zuckerman is 82. 369 post-attack studies are available at the FENH Research Library that indicates that 370 and years of research have failed to reveal a single factor that would preclude recovery from a nuclear attack. Next point is that effects are overestimated. From Bruce Douglas Clayton in 77. The difficulties in life of a post-attack environment are not unknown and they are not insurmountable. They are, however, routinely overestimated. Seventh point is the consensus proof survivable. From Edward Zuckerman again. No serious critic of nuclear war, no matter how pessimistic, is denied that millions of people will survive one. Next, the eighth point will be the best studies prove recovery occurs. From Smith in 82. The best known and most easily available of these studies was an examination of the effect of the detonation of 10,000 megatons of nuclear weapons in the northern hemisphere. These studies indicate that although immediate effects of the major nuclear weapons would be severe, the long-term effects would be minimal and disappear after practical events and for all practical intents and purposes after roughly 20 years. Ninth point is counter evidence is strong. From Edward Zuckerman in 82. Bear noted, I feel that they are misinformed and are not taking into account statistically indicated a substantial number of people who would survive. Tenth point would be combatant nations will survive. From Arthur Katz in 82. It is important to make an observation that there will be many survivors in the world and even the nations directly involved in nuclear war. The last point will be non-combatants will be unscathed. From Ronald Higgins in 78. True, the chances of a nuclear third war erupting before the end of the century must be high, but its nuclear proportions, if they are unprecedented, are unlikely to be so great as to raise or fatally irradiate all the earth. Many remote communities, perhaps extensive regions, will remain unscathed. Next point would be that scientific evidence does not support the end of the world hypothesis. From 1985. The argument that nuclear war would eliminate the human species and bring them to civilization that we know has not up to the light of objective examination. I think I read that one earlier, didn't I, Pat? Next point would be that humanity survives even the largest war. From Lehner 82. The NES report concluded that human life would survive the largest nuclear war. Peter Schwarzman continues. The largest preponderance of evidence that human life would survive even the largest nuclear war. Next point is that there's no credibility for the human extinction factor. From Marshall in 87. Freezing to extinction, Schneider says human extinction should never have been brought up. The notion of a freeze or dead planet following a nuclear war has zero credibility. Next point is that the likelihood of extinction is very low. From Marshall in 87. World War III, although cataclysmic, probably would not freeze the globe or eliminate the human race, according to Starkley Thompson and Stephen Schneider of the University of Colorado Boulder. Whatever. Yeah. Cool. Next off-case position would be that nuclear war is inevitable. This is from Cox in 82. There is a growing awareness of survivors that have failed to control the nuclear arms that unless drastic action is taken, we may not survive this decade. The next point will be from Barash in 82. On the cover of the Bulletin of Atomic Science, the hands of doomsday clock read 4 minutes to midnight. When Roger Garvin, brilliant scientist, a long-time consultant with the Pentagon, estimates 50% chance of all nuclear war by the year 2000. George Christoway, the former head of the Munitions Division of the Manhattan Project, President Eisenhower Scientific Advisor, estimates 50% chance by the year 1990. Next subpoint would be that. Next point would be from Calder in 80. The outlook at the start of the 1980s is quite surprisingly grim. The risk of the Holocaust is growing every year that passes, and whether we shall avoid it between now and 1990s is at least questionable. Next point would be we will have by the year 2000 from Heckley up and up. That's all I want there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Future weapons will be the next off-case position. First responsibility, the anti-matter weapons have infinite destructive power. Approximately 95. The Supernuclear Weapons Laboratory in Livermore, California is working on the development of an anti-matter bomb that dwarfs the atomic bomb and a hydrogen bomb is almost infinite destructive power. Next point is anti-matter weapons are 100 times more powerful than present nuclear weapons. From approximately 86. Such a weapon would be to the present nuclear weapons what the present dangers are to the gunpowder and shotgun. The force of the energy and the freedom of the antimatter principle would exceed the factor by 100 times more than the present most powerful nuclear explosion. Next point is future weapons destroy civilization. From 1086. We've come to view the future of nuclear weapons that contain a large number of Pandora's boxes which open fully release destroys civilization. But even though some of these boxes have been opened slightly, they can still be slammed shut, locked, and kept that way. Next point is nuclear war won't be survivable in the future for approximately 85. With the improvement of nuclear bombs, the statement is clear that war is survivable will become increasingly less valid as time goes on. Modern nuclear weapons are not so much more powerful as they produce greater fires. Next point is antimatter bombs utilize all energy in the atom from Broad 85. In the fusion and fusion reactions to the nuclear weapons, only a tiny fraction is turned into energy. Well, okay. Yeah, good job.
Your observation says future nuclear wars would destroy the world, right?
Right.
That's based on technological advancements on antimatter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't a detonation stop this?
Because you're not getting 100% consciousness yet. You may get it.
I understand. A
You may
nuclear
get-
war now, we can survive. A nuclear war in 10 years, we can't, correct?
20 years is actually 20
In
years.
20 years, we can't survive the nuclear war.
Right.
Do you propose any mechanism, any policy mechanism that would stop the development of antimatter?
Excuse me?
Do you propose any policy mechanism to stop the implementation of antimatter?
Right. A superpower nuclear war would do that.
How would it do it?
Because it, being a full-blown nuclear war, as opposed to a terrorist detente, would have a much greater effect on society. We'd get us
Where is
absolute
that
consciousness.
evidence? Where is that evidence?
I haven't read it.
It is simply your assertion now in cross-ex.
Yeah, I think
How
it's
is it
certainly,
competitive?
well, how is it competitive?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's so much, well, I'm not suggesting that we like cause a nuclear war. We're arguing that it's inevitable and it's going to happen. And
All
you're
right,
giving
I'm
us-
just asking you for your opinion. How does this wide-scale nuclear war become more competitive than a single terrorist detonation? And essentially, we're getting
You're
the same
reading,
impact.
I'm granting the arguments on the top, which say that we're going to spiral into a nuclear war with superpowers, right? So that's what's going to happen.
All right, let's talk about topicality.
To
Reply indicates intent, and there's no indication that the terrorists are in reply. They're simply ticked off.
right,
Okay. What are they ticked off about?
political oppression.
So their response would be...
I'm making a
Oppression.
delineation between a reply and a reaction. They are reacting to political oppression. They're ticked, but they're not making a response. They're not providing an answer. Instead, they're saying, I'm
Why
ticked off.
isn't the terrorist detonation the response?
It is a reaction. It's not a reply. Your definition lists three things: reply or answer or
Right.
reaction.
In the
And I'm saying
context
that
of
you should
terrorist
limit yourself to the
detonation-
first half,
All
not
right,
the
this I
second.
don't understand. In the context of a terrorist detonation, how is this differentiation manifested? Where is it?
Well,
Terrorists
the
detonate.
first subpoint says that nuclear weapons aren't a response because it doesn't solve the problem. There's no indication as of 1AC, any card that says
So a
that a
reply
nuclear
has to
deton addresses the issues
All right.
of political
A
oppression.
reply has to solve.
A reply has to indicate a level of consciousness about a solution. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm not trying to mix words and say you have to prove solvency to be topical. They just have to be addressing.
Could it be possible that terrorists, even though they're ticked off, would like to detonate a nuclear device because they think that they could draw attention to their plight?
No.
Wouldn't that solve for this topicality violation? Would you all not worry about this?
No, because I think that drawing attention to the problem would not necessarily meet the violation. But secondly, I argue it as a prime
Okay.
facie.
Right. Would they perceive it? Would they possibly perceive it as a solution?
They might perceive it as a solution. What I'm saying is, I don't think they do that.
All right, let's talk about your standards for voter and the standards for violations.
Right.
Where do you even mention the word crime evasion?
I don't as a voting issue, but I do say that the evidence, under the first subpoint, I say that this evidence ought to be in 1AC.
Okay,
That
but
is
if
what I
you do not
said.
present it as a standard, then why should we respond to it as a standard?
Because I clearly say the words. I mean, if you want to debate,
Okay, we'll assume
I
it.
mean, I say it should be in 1AC. I think we know why I say that. And if we get this is kind of the issue, I guess.
Man? Hi, Mom.